time for another round of Brandy. Candid conversations over cocktails about all things brand. With your hosts, Reilly Newman and Scott Saunders, the brand developers behind Motif Brands.
Welcome back to another round of Brandy. Scott and I are here today talking about growth catalysts for businesses. And this actually might surprise you, but brand plays a major role in this catalyst.
And when we're talking about a catalyst of growth, it's a term, but how would you define that?
I'd say in business world, like a catalyst and the growth of a business, we get hung up on metrics and indicators and all these kind of very numerical signs that businesses rely heavily on. And I think above that, you do have brand that can help guide that. And that's what we'll get into is kind of going, okay, what are these metrics, sales, revenue versus indicators, which could be, leading and helping you kind of guide where your business is going versus what brand can provide for that and what it actually, how it guides the business.
I mean, the reality is every business, big or small, wants to grow. They want to grow their revenue ultimately. They may not want to grow in size. Maybe they like it small and they like the scale, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But they want to look at in 5 years, raising their prices by 150% or whatever it is, right? If that's what they consider growth, that's like. But every business wants that, they desire to. So I think it's the idea of, what is that thing that is going to, as a catalyst, going to spark, going to ignite. That term is a chemical. It's a chemistry, term.
Yeah, a driver
and things like that. So, what is it that you can do as a business to get to that next step in growth for you? And then, like Reilly was bringing up, it's like, how do you measure growth? Is growth solely deemed by end of sales revenue? Is it our subscription membership is increased, or it's whatever it is. If it's a service or product, it's always like you said. There's metrics. They're crunching numbers. They're looking at sales. They're looking at graphs, right? It's all of that that is communicating to the business owner growth.
Yeah, and to that point, it's like a lot of businesses will get hung up on revenue, and that's the good, the number of we need to keep that, just keep going up and up and up, and that's not true because a lot of time not all revenue is created equally, and so just because your revenue is increasing, your cost could be increasing with that. And just like with some clients I'll talk with where it's like they want to increase revenue. And it's like, okay, to do that, you're going to have to increase your payroll because you have to hire on more people to drive more revenue to service, whatever your offering is. And that just keeps the margin the same.
Unless your business product is easily scalable.
Exactly.
Like a hypothetical, Netflix. It's like, maybe after X amount more new subscribers, they have to devote another server, right? Or whatever it is. But, one person adding up to Netflix doesn't mean that someone on the company on the back end is going to feel that brunt. Just like a software.
Yeah.
You make the software and that's your investment. Now you're selling copies of it. Or licenses to it, and that doesn't take any. That's no manpower. There's no extra cost really. It's just, and that's that particular business model, right?
Yeah, and I think it's just like thinking when you do think of growth, you think of revenue, but that's not always the case. Sometimes a business, it could just be like, hey, I want to grow in profitability. The revenue could maintain, about the same or grow a little, and then the profitability could increase massively. And
because they're finding ways to cut production costs
or leverage pricing strategies and go, okay, how are we going to actually increase the pricing on this and raise that by the brand guiding that? A really good example of that is one of my favorite brands, which is Costco. And they also use membership, which is really what I think of super valid model for a lot of businesses. But anyways, the power of this is that Costco hasn't raised their membership fee since like 2017 or 2019, but they just announced today that they're going to do that. And it's a small, little bump up in price for the membership for the annual cost. I think like $10 or something, or maybe in $5, but it's overall, it's like an 8.5% increase on the membership price for the year, which, probably no member is going to even blink at. It's just going to go up and they'll pay it. But what's crazy about it is that Costco, they, pull in billions of dollars a year, and the membership pulls in quite a bit, but that little bump of 8.5% is going to pull in an extra like 650 million just off the bat, at least that. And that actually then jumps up their profitability quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, really starting to define some of these business jargon like indicators and metrics and whatnot. Let's focus on a business needs an objective. This objective is then properly handled by having indicators of, are we being successful in our journey to achieve this objective? And then within those indicators, you do have metrics within that to make sure that you're cruising along in the right path.
Yeah.
And the metrics, to me, it's just really zoomed in. It's more like your to-do list or very, more figure-based. That's why metrics can be more numerical. It's like analytics on a website. Like you can have, we had 10 visitors or 1,000 visitors visit the site and this bounce rate and all these things. And they can be very precise.
But what's your conversion rate? See, it's a lot of that. It's like saying,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how many visitors you had.
Or what's actually
what was the purpose of the site, right? Was it informative? Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. If you have that many people coming and it's an informative only site, great.
Yeah.
If there's a response, like buy tickets now, or it's a whatever it is, sign up,
Yeah.
or purchase, right? It's a short storefront. How many sales you get out of it?
Yeah.
So again, it's like the metrics, but that's just because you have numbers doesn't mean those numbers should be used to analyze or to gauge where you as a business and a brand want to grow. Because that's the whole bulk of this. We're not just going to be talking about growth of a business. It's like how do you harness the power of your brand to help bring about growth of your business.
Yeah. And metrics are much more of that kind of just tactical. They're like the result of a tactic. And then, like you said, zooming out a little, you do get indicators. So, okay, we had increase of traffic or increase of foot traffic in the shop. What does that mean? What is that indicating, right? So you start zooming out a little and looking at patterns that happen when that happens. And then the indicators can feed into what that objective could be that you're trying to achieve for your business.
Yeah.
And like you said, some of the stuff can be misleading, where I've had clients where it's like, we're getting tens of thousands of hits on our website, but the amount of time they're spending there was close to nothing. And then the conversion rate was practically zero, and they're spending so much on SEO and doing ads and driving that traffic. And it was a vanity number really of going, we're getting this much traffic.
Yeah.
But most of that was just probably people accidentally clicking on it.
Yeah. And when I think of brand, what's interesting about brand is like, brand's the one thing that, like everything that you've mentioned so far, anything that can be metric, can be analyzed through metrics, right? Mm-hmm. Numbers. It's in a sense transactional. Whether it's a visit to the website, that's the website code is funneling the browser. It's a transaction. It's an exchange, just like purchasing or memberships or subscriptions or whatever else it is, or appointments. But brand is one thing that you can't. There's no real metrics for brand,
right.
And that's what I kind of love about brand, is that it's the mystique of it is that you can power brand to give you the growth in metrics, whatever metrics you're trying to grow, but the brand itself can't be measured. So it's one of those things that you work on, use your brand, but there's no way to track, okay, if I do this in my brand, it's going to yield this return. And you can look at metrics to confirm that.
Tracking
you can't. Hypothetically, you think, okay, let's say you give you reface your logo. It's not a complete overhaul, but it's just it's a nice nip and tuck. It's a nice facelift. And you get a spike in some of your metrics. Is that then, okay, yes, that was a worthwhile investment, or it was effective? I mean, you can draw certain conclusions, but it's vague, and there's a lot of gray area because there's other factors that could have come into play, and you're just looking at the timing, if it was based in the last 45 days or last, quarter, and you're going, oh, numbers are up. Okay, therefore, yes. And brand becomes like this to-do list that once those are checked, you're guaranteed success. And we've talked about this before. With branding there is no recipe. We can't proclaim a recipe that you follow to the letter and it will guarantee you results.
Yeah.
It depends on your market, your product, your service, the timing. There's so many factors, and so all branding is navigating it, in a smart way and a strategic way that will then hopefully maybe, have a, it's like a cause and effect that you can't 100% measure. You have to we have faith and trust that it works. Brands that are doing good things with their brand, right? And to grow their brand, eventually that growth in their brand, right? It translates into the growth of their business
down the road. Yeah. And that's what's hard is like sometimes with when you do get these metrics or these indicators in your business, it really depends on who's presenting them, because they can connect those to whatever effort for the most part. Is that it's easy, like what I said on last episode is what Ogilvy's Rory Sutherland said, it's easy to pretty much point out an effect, but it's really difficult to point out what's effective. And that just comes down to narrative and someone will be able to go, oh, see, we implemented this campaign or we did this and now these numbers are up. And they're trying to point this direct correlation. And that's really hard to do, especially nowadays where you do have, people are doing 12 to 17 touch points with your business before making a purchase decision. So are they engaging with it on social? Is it an ad? Is it all these other things that are out there? And you have so many touch points now that it's very convoluted. So it's a bit of a fallacy to think that you can just point to one metric or indicator and have that be the solution. But like with brand's effective in the sense that it's the whole. It's all of that put together and working as one and being cohesive in that way that's actually going to help your business really achieve these things. No matter what the metrics are. The metrics are like the tactics. That's just the way you're going about it in the immediate.
Yeah. So when we're talking about like brand growth, it's kind of about setting a goal, right? And because the goals of how you want to grow can vary. But I think the idea of growing your brand, like what does that mean? How do we bring that the rubber to the road on that and really talk about defining goals and how you want to grow your brand? If that in itself, the smart way of bringing growth to your business. Because we were talking about earlier, and I think what spurred this is some of the failed attempts, like just the same attempts that all businesses seem to do to try to brand their growth. It's like, oh, now I'm going to have a conference, or I'm going to do a seminar, a workshop, and they're trying desperately to try to like grab at straws or grab at air, and how with when it comes to brand, that is something that you have control over. And that's, I think, what to me is how I see the difference is like when we're talking about business growth that is metric based, that has metric results. It's strategic, but it's calculated. And with brand growth, you're doing things to invest in the relationship you have with your consumers. And how your brand is perceived, but with the metrics, there's things that are out of your control. It could be the timing of the economy. It could be so many other things, right? A lot of companies are folding and it's really struggling right now because the economy is what it is. Yeah. And they could have been doing everything right the way they've been doing it 5 years ago, and it would have different results, right? But with your brand is what you have full control over. And that's what, to me, is where it's a smart chess piece move in trying to grow your business, is when you invest in the growth of your brand, and growth being something that you're investing in it, making sure you're taking a brand wellness. How's my branding across the board? Are there ways I can do better? Is there ways I can capitalize on some things? Right? Is there things that I can do with the brand that bring more value to the customer? A simple example that comes to mind is like with Amazon. I mean, at one point, you're ordering things and you make a lot of one-time purchases, and you make some purchases that are need to be replaced. And I know it hasn't always been that way, and it's been this way for a while. But I remember the first time they integrated the Buy Again tab. Yeah. And you click on that, and it was showing you by its analysis of what products I would definitely want to be needing to rebuy, whether they're their coffee filters or even water filters for our refrigerator, like those things, vacuum bags, things like that. So I think when they started doing that was added value to my experience, because before I would have to go through order and I would have to go through all my order history and try to find the item I had so that I could then go, buy again, because once you're on there, it allows you to buy it again. But then they decided to opt for that thing, and I love that feature. And that was just added value.
Well, and I think you save a little too when you do it on there. I think when you auto subscribe to like a product now on Amazon, you save like 10% or whatever.
Right.
And to me, it's like it's really cool because they took a past tense metric like a sale. Sales are past tense. Revenue is past tense. So when you get those numbers and you're looking at it, you're going, okay, that's all said and done. These are the sales we had. Pre-orders or like membership and future forward-looking metrics like that is like, that's what Amazon did, was that they took sales and going, okay, Scott likes to buy, coffee filters, a ton of toilet paper.
I know you're gonna make an old man joke like Depends or something, but no, I don't. I'm not quite. I'm old. I'm much older than you, but not that much older than you.
But they take these sales and go, okay, these are on the account. Now they can transform that not only by adding value for the customer, but then turning that into a future facing metric like a pre-order or a subscription. And so they're able to then, it's almost like jujitsu, where they take the momentum of the sale and they go, okay, now we're going to add convenience and benefit the business, because now they have a runway of going, okay, he orders it on a 30 or 60 day cycle. We can almost count on this revenue coming in. And it's changed the model drastically. And that's where it's like Honda, they're known for using, they actually reworked their models a lot with their sales. And instead of some of the traditional kind of indicators of someone buying a car, like, oh, they checked out that ad, they did these things, they actually use test drives as the main leading indicator of their sales. So they can start kind of guessing ahead. Yeah. So then if you look at what the brand should then do, it's like now you start refocusing everything to be pushing towards test drives. Yeah. Which Tesla, I believe, like copied that quite a bit, where Tesla really, they didn't have shops open when they first started getting going. They didn't have many places that you could go to, but you could schedule test drives, because really it's like a test drive, that's a pretty warm lead for a sale, because you're getting someone in it, they're experiencing it, and then the sale kind of just naturally grows from there.
Yeah. I think anytime, you're trying to, when I think of like just how brands can do things differently, or something like trying to break away from the pack. Yeah. That's an easy thing that you, the business, that your business, your customers, your competition, and what are some things you can do differently. And an example just popped up to mind, and we have a local bookshop. It's the only local bookshop. There's no other bookshop, but it is owned by these two young gals who are just have big ideas, and they're incorporating a little coffee and tea area, and they allow they have a program where, like, because they have a store dog, that for little kids, if they come in, if they read a story to the dog, they get a free book of their choosing. That's awesome. And things like that. But they have a little table outside, and they have these brown paper lunch bags that they have bound up with, I think, cord or something really cute. And that's basically their blind date with a book stack. And there's usually about 10 or 12 of them out, and they're all because it's a used bookstore, and it's $1. And it's $1, and you pick one, and that's your takeaway. And you're if for those that love reading or are open to reading whatever is put in their hands, it's a cool idea. And I've never seen any bookstore, and so.
Is that where you get your the romance novel?
No, my Harlequin. Yeah, no, my spicy romance novel. No, I hand pick those. Jeez.
Much more picky.
No, I'm a murder mystery and thriller guy. You know that. Oh, but it's like little things like that it's just creative. Come to mind where I go. Yeah. I walk in as a customer, and it's like they're just different. And is that a metric? What they're doing, like. They're losing product if they give a child a free book of their choosing, but they give the child a way to earn it. And it's a fun, entertaining setting because they have these bean bags on the floor. They have the cutest little like corner dedicated for that, right? And they just call the dog over, and the dog will sit down, or, you know. And it's like one of these things where, at least I've never seen it happen. But that's the premise I understand.
Poor
to be.
dog, can't
But
read.
the concept of what they do and how they're doing things are just different, and that is endearing. That's growing my appreciation of them as a business, right? Yeah. And to me, that's the type of investment that there's no metrics that are going to justify their expense and time and energy to do the blind book bags or the read a book, award. But they do it, and it grows their brand.
Yeah,
but in a way that you can't measure, but that makes a difference.
And
it does.
It's very brand thinking because it is. You think about that, it's like it's changing the perception of those people who are engaging with it. Where I might pick up this little the brown paper bag. I don't know what's in it. I'm gonna try it, or my kid will go and do the book reading or whatever. And it's you're changing the perception, which is altering the relationship, right? But most importantly, it's changing the behavior, and that's actually what a lot of these brands right now, like Taco Bell, Sonic, all of them are rolling out value menus where it's like $1.99 for this and that because everyone's like tired of paying fast food prices. And what they're trying to do is save some of the behavioral habits that their customers have. Because if, just like they saw in 2020, if people stop and go, man, I just can't afford to go to fast food anymore, I'm going to start cooking at home more, they'll cut that out. And to actually regain that customer, it's going to be a whole lot more expensive and much more difficult to accomplish, rather than going, no, let's just drop the price on some of these and we'll offer it to them so we can maintain the behavior of that, which is really, the brand and maintaining that perception of going, oh yeah, I'm a person who does go to Taco Bell, or I'm a person who goes to Sonic, and them not losing that part of their identity. So like what the bookstore is doing is that they're actually enhancing that and going, okay, no, this can be part of your identity. You can enjoy doing these books, coming into the local bookshop. It's an experience. It's different.
Going back to brand growth, I think, analyzing all of your visual touch points for your brand. Are they up to par? Are they up to code? Are they the best they can be? Because keep in mind too, growth of your brand and growth of your business involves engaging with new individuals in your demographic audience. Yeah. Right. New customers walking in the door, new customers coming to visit your website for the first time or hearing about your brand. And so that is where making sure that you're growing in your brand and its level of quality, consistency, clarity, all these things that we keep preaching in our different episodes, they all come together and because ultimately all of that attention to your brand is what will grant you the growth in your business, whatever growth that means to you and looks to you. Because if you have a specific goal of growth in mind for your business, then if it is we want to keep our production costs the same, but we want to increase the price point of our service or increase the retail price of our product, by 30% in 2 years, whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. Starting to adjust your brand, because there's your point on the horizon. You've set a goal of growth. Yeah. Now you're going to navigate the ship. You're going to make sure everything's pointing that way. You're not going to meander. You're going to want it cut a straight line. And then you're going to look at your brand, and you might have to pivot your brand a little bit in its messaging and its things like that to start getting the audience to steer towards that and accept that or grow that. And so if your brand's like, hey, I good quality product, but now we need to be a little more extra quality, and now we're adding a little touch of luxury, right? A more perceived value in the brand. So therefore, you're going to tweak the brand a little bit. You're going to maybe adjust the color palettes. You're going to change how you're saying things, right? All those different ways your brand can signal to the audience or the new shifted audience to get you to that goal and get you the growth, right? That's what we're talking about, the growth that you're wanting.
Well, it's like the indicators, those are precursors to like growth, right? So if you have clarity in your brand, then you go, all right, now let's reverse engineer this. If this is the brand, like Scott's saying, this is who we want to become. This is our target. And, then you look at the precursors of of going there and becoming that. And then you start reverse engineering and going, what needs to happen for us to get there? And that's really where it's like, to build the trustworthiness for customers, existing customers and potential customers to trust you, you got to start signaling what they're wanting. Yeah. So, but you can only do that effectively if you understand the brand that you're wanting and who
if your brand is inconsistent, if you have a great logo outside the restaurant, but your menu is just looks like it looks terrible. It looks like someone with zero skills or design or finesse laid it out. That's inconsistency in the brand. You're saying, oh, hey, I care about trust me, I'm going to care about the details of your food and the plating and everything else of our service. I just don't care about the menu, right? But and so again, those are mixed messaging to your audience. And so again, that's why having that building trust, building legitimacy, and again, for the new audience that's going to be part of that growth, it's that time to make a first impression.
Yeah.
And if you're not firing on all cylinders, you will come up a little short.
Yeah. And it reminds me of like that old saying of like, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And that really like applies to brand in so many ways, because it's like, yeah, you want to put your best foot forward, even with existing customers and clients, but you also, for the new ones who are going to engage with you or see you out and about, it's like, that's the brand is like the precursor of the precursor, where it's like, once they see you and engage with you, that perception's already started. Once they hear about you, hear the business name, whatever it could be, it's like that perception's already starting to take root. So you need to get in and start managing it and start appealing to the people that you're trying to really grow your business with. And then that's going to help guide you with going, okay, you know, like Honda, like, is it the test drives? What does the brand need to do then to appeal to people who may want to test drive? What type of personality is that? That's someone who is willing to go, yeah, I want to go schedule a test drive and try this out, right? Because not everyone is just going to call up and test drive, but if they can be more accurate to getting that personality and that person who wants to actually do that, then it's much more.
Because it's not so easy to walk away from a test drive.
Yeah.
Most people it's like, you know, even like, you know, I'm one of those guys that I know the moment I step foot on a car dealership, they're watching me and they're eyeing and they're timing and they're calculating when they're going to approach me. And so if you go for a test drive, you walk away. They won't just go, okay, yeah, whatever, see you. You know, they'll as you're walking off the lot, they'll kind of keep following your wake and just kind of trying to see if they can cause you any more, you know, increase the level of interest, or maybe try to even strike a deal. And
it changes per brand. It's like, for some brands, it's doing, you know, samples in Costco. That works really well for them. Or for other ones, it's offering, you know, money back guarantee, or, you know, send it back or try it, right? Like Warby Parker was successful with was, hey, you sign up, we send you the glasses, you know, put them on, try them out, and then the ones you don't want, send them back. And then you can pick the ones that you want and you have it. And that alone de-risked the situation so much that people were willing to try it, and that propelled the brand forward, where they're able to target and go, okay, our people are pretty risk adverse. Now how does the brand itself, you know, really tactically go about that? But also that's part of the bigger strategy of what it is. It's de-risking the whole thing. And again, going back to each brand, it's like that should change. You shouldn't be able to, for the most part, apply what one brand's doing to yours, because then it's like you're just, you know, mimicking what they're doing. And similar to what we've written about before, it's kind of like when you put a goldfish in a larger bowl, it grows to the size of the bowl. And same thing goes with your business. Is like, there's so many businesses that are like, I don't want to focus on my brand right now. I'm not quite there. I'm not ready for it. Maybe in a year, or let's see how this goes. And it's almost like it's backwards thinking, because it's like, no, if your brand is that target on the horizon, it's that North Star that you have, then everything you do is going to really structure itself to get there. And whether it is, hey, I want to be able to sell my business in 5 years, or I want to grow it to this, you know, number, or I just want to live happy and be able to be self-sufficient, all of those are different goals. And so then the brand, the precursors, the metrics all adjust accordingly. And if you don't get that in place, then you're going to just be stuck inside your little bowl and be a little fish.
It's funny because I've encountered a lot of business owners that like they said, they're focused on their business, and to them, their brand is separate. They don't understand that brand is the existence of whatever form and shape your business is, because
Yeah.
that's the impression of your business is the brand. And it happens whether you like it or not. But the small businesses, they'll be like, oh well, I'm going to work on my brand, later. That's putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
I look at it as brand is the horse, and the business is the cart. The brand is dictating and pulling the business. It's you're not going to have any sales if your brand and your business can't relate to anyone in your audience. You're going to have no one. You're going to be talking to an empty room. Yeah. And so the idea is that your brand is almost like, you mentioned growing your bit, the fish in the fishbowl. It's like, if you want to, kind of like a plant, you want to grow a plant, you've got to transplant into a bigger pot, and the plant is going to grow bigger because of that. Its root structure is getting out bigger, and it's the top always kind of mirrors the root structure. So you're going to go from there. But so it's kind of like with your brand, you should be building a slightly bigger brand than what you have as a business, I think, because it allows you, if you're one guy that works out of his garage, making and selling a little product, right? You don't necessarily want your brand to convey that transparency. You might want your brand to kind of, convey that you're at least a company of maybe 10 people, you got a little bit of fact, whatever it is, right? It's kind of like that curtain that you want to have. And it doesn't mean you have to be dishonest. No. I hate it. In our industry, in the marketing industry, how many agencies are out there, and you come to find it's one guy that outsources every ounce of his work. He's just scraping off the top and acting as a middleman, but he's an agency. And so it's that it's like you come across these vague, if you ever go to a marketer's website and you click on about and there's just but there's literally no pictures, no staff, no way of understanding how big this company is, then chances are they're giving you a lot of smoke and mirrors.
It's one person in their living room.
Yeah. So I'm not saying be that, but a brand, I think should be perceived by the audience to be slightly bigger, right?
Oh, yeah.
Than the business actually is, because it allows the business and gives the business room to grow. It gives the opportunity of establishing expectations of the brand and allowing and giving the business those kind of benchmarks of the expectations, because they proclaimed them as a brand, to meet those, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so that kind of care and diligence that you're applying to your business comes through with how you're projecting your brand.
Yeah. And it's same thing you get with like the 80-20 rule, where it's like once something starts gaining momentum, it starts absorbing more of that. It's like the compounding and like the snowball effect of it. But it's also it's growth begets growth. So once you start growing, you'll most likely will start attracting more growth. And so the brand has the opportunity. It's not lying or faking it till you make it, but it's like going on a date and trying to put your best foot forward and talking about your hopes and your dreams and all these things, because you do want to look aspirational. You want to look like you're driven and moving forward, and like you're not just a lump on a log. And you're just sitting at home eating potato chips. But it's like, no, you're actually you're trying to make the world a better place. You're trying to make yourself a better person, and people are drawn to that. And that's what the brand can do, is like, according to, who you are and who you're appealing to, it's like you can hit on certain aspirational goals or just things that they are attracted to and expand on that. So, overall, it's like, as a brand, it's looking at all those touch points, looking at, who you're trying to be and that point on the horizon where you're trying to go, and the brand that you're trying to become, and putting out with your best foot forward and allowing that to then give direction to how you're doing business, the indicators that you're using to guide your business, whether that is, pre-orders or membership sales or test drives, and then allowing that to help guide your metrics and your tactics of the actual business and the more kind of functional side of it.
Yeah. And those investments into your brand now, those are the catalysts we're talking about when we're talking about, growth for your business and growth for your brand. So on that note, hey, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for pulling a chair up at the table. And we thank you guys so much for your time and choosing to listen to us talk about what we love, which is branding. So until next time, cheers.